it was at the time when you became a single parent and started to get involved into New Age, where you got quite strongly involved on this prideful path, this self-confident, strong, independent woman. So tell us a little bit more what happened there.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I separated from my son's father, shortly after, he was only 8 months old when we separated, I felt like I needed to be this really strong, independent person. I was on a mission to be my best version as a mother. And obviously, when you separate from somebody, you get a lot of people, especially when you have a baby and you're a single parent, you get a lot of people coming up to you and being like, "Are you all right?" And I had this thing that I didn't like, people pitying me. And I didn't really want to show any vulnerability. So, I mean, I don't know if I was lying to myself at the time, and I really believed, that I was all fine because it was my decision. So I just went on this mission. I was very proud, very prideful of wanting to be seen strong and capable and independent. And I never asked for help whatsoever. So I just threw myself into these new age practices because that's what drew me in, really, because I wanted to be the happiest mum I could be, the most confident, not rely on another man for my needs, because I didn't want to enter another relationship. So it was like, I need to be on my own, which is a good, noble thing at first, isn't it? It's about wanting, not being needy and clingy and like, I need another man and, he's going to sort everything out. So it was a healthy mindset at the time it was a very healthy mindset, because to jump into another relationship with a baby, if I'm still grieving a relationship, it's not healthy. But I was so like on my own, wanting to be strong, independent, that I didn't want any help from anyone. I was just like, I didn't even ask. I never felt the need to ask. But that's also from my upbringing, watching my mother as a single parent as well, bringing us up with no help. She never had help. She never really had that community around her when she was a single parent. So I guess that was instilled in me. And she did things like yoga and meditation. So I always remember thinking, oh, I want to be like my mum. She was so strong. She would, if she was in a relationship and it wasn't working, she would break up, and that was it, that was it, just cut off people like that. So I became a bit like that as well. It was like I lost a lot of people during that time. And it was like, well, I can do it on my own. It's fine. It's all good. Obviously, I'm outgrowing people. It's the spiritual journey when we're like outgrowing people.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
is
I question that.
Yeah, and that is a lot of like fed and nourished this thought process in the New Age and in the personal development community, that you can do it by yourself and you are a noble, honorable person when you do it.
Yeah.
So then it is even strengthened more and more, and it is kind of like constantly reprogrammed on one's mind. So where did that path then lead you when you continued on that path?
Yeah. So because I can do this on my own, I'm going to be strong. I found strength through meditating and doing yoga. Okay. That was where I was. And at the time, I didn't call anything God. It was more universe. It was all about the universe, and I will meditate and get downloads, and I'd be full of all this bliss and feeling amazing. And I'd be thriving on that, on the bliss from meditating and doing the yoga. And I found my inner strength through doing yoga. But like obviously now my awareness of that is different, because we don't get our strength. It was like I was relying on my own strength, but using yoga as a vehicle and meditation. But I was like addicted to the bliss, because you would get blissed out on yoga and meditation. And I felt like I didn't need anything. I didn't need anyone. I didn't need another relationship. But really deep down, I think there was a fear becoming intimate with another person, and I just wanted to do it on my own. And then also the fear of rejection when
Mhm.
reaching out and asking for help was a big thing, because for some reason that was another issue. I don't know where that came from. That if I reached out and asked for help, I think it's from a past experience when I was younger, or
Mm.
just like, why would anyone want to help me, that sort of thing. So, and also when I've been vulnerable before with people and said how I'm really feeling, it's been used against me, like I'm weak. That's another thing I think where the pride thing comes from, because I think I remembered once sharing that I was upset in the past. I can't remember, pinpoint it, but from doing that, that was used against me. So I thought, right, I'll never do that again. Never show my real feelings. Got to be strong. Got to be independent. So I think that's where it came from. And then obviously with the new age, it offered all this stuff that you can be this, you can be that, you can be strong. You don't need. You get all your, all your needs will be met through doing meditating and yoga. And so, and yeah, I always wanted to be the strong, independent mother doing it on her own. But that worked for so long. It was almost like in the end I was becoming anxious because of it. And if I wasn't getting to my practice every day, then I wasn't feeling strong and
Yeah.
independent.
And you were actually almost like reading my thoughts too, because when you were talking about receiving this bliss from yoga and meditation,
Yeah.
and I also got the thought, and that was my experience too. I never practiced yoga myself, or never. I did it a little bit, but it never resonated. But meditation, yes, years and years. I could be so long meditations. The bliss is very short-lived.
Yeah.
So it's very short-lived, and it is like it almost becomes like a bit addictive, that you get hooked into it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that also has a hidden agenda
Yeah.
behind it, that you get hooked into it. And actually, by doing those practices, we think that now we are being strong, but actually we are getting that illusion of strength from a source that
Mm.
we did not know who that really was.
No.
And then it turned out it wasn't a benevolent source.
No.
And what I also found, that it was a very isolating journey. Like this
Mm-hmm.
pride, a very important topic that I was faced with was this spiritual ego, which
Yes.
is a perfect example about the spirit of pride, which is a demonic spirit.
Yeah.
The spiritual ego, like pushing away people that were not on my spiritual level,
Mm-hmm.
and let alone family members. New Age and personal development, they cultivate this attitude of like taking distance from your family, that they are toxic families. That is like a mantra, toxic families, and just take distance from them. And all those, other people are labeled as toxic. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
how did you then go with this isolation? And it would be so great to hear more about this isolation that this journey led you to, because so many of us have experienced it or are still experiencing it. And then we can look more into
Mm.
what happened that you realized that you were on a journey that wasn't leading you to this ultimate happiness and strength and independence that you thought you were.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question, because like you said about the toxic thing, I just wanted to that's really exactly why I was like that. Like, I was aware of my own stuff, but I was so obsessed with this spiritual path and being positive. It was spiritually bypassing all the time. And then anyone who didn't get it in my family, and well, then I would get sort of attacked for it as well when I was trying to be all positive. But I would find myself not wanting to talk about anything negative with them. So then I found myself judging them, and then I'd be like, well, they're just being, toxic, because this is what we hear, like what you just said. So then I would pull away, isolate myself, and that was so dangerous as a single mother for me. It was, yeah, like I won't go into that, but it was dangerous, and I didn't see that at the time, and I couldn't understand what was happening to me at the time, but I know now in hindsight what was happening. Through these spiritual practices, I was opening doors for demonic forces to get in. The bliss was not true light, was not from God. It was false light, and it was basically, just being hijacked all the time by entities.
Yeah.
And I was not myself. I was not me. Most days were a battle in my mind, to push on through, be strong. And that's when I'd get anxiety. And then I'd be avoiding people, avoiding social situations. I wouldn't even see my family, which is completely different now with God being in my life, because God is sort of about reconciliation. So yeah, the isolation was real. I couldn't understand what was happening, and I thought I was better off. I thought I'm better off because they're not good for me. They don't understand. They're toxic because they're being negative all the time, and I'm just being positive, which was the false light thing, right? And I was spiritually bypassing. So whenever I would get upset with somebody or feel anger, I would just not allow myself to feel it. I'd be like, no, it's okay, everything's okay, and sugarcoat it, cover it up with positivity, because I wanted to be seen as that positive person at all times. And I can admit that now. So at the time, I don't think I thought that I was genuinely okay. But yeah, I mean, the anxiety was the symptom of what was really going on. I never experienced anxiety so bad in my life until I was in the New Age. But then then it was a vicious cycle, because then I'd be doing the yoga and the meditation to get rid of the anxiety. Every day I had to do it. It became addictive, an addiction of the bliss, to get rid of it. But then it would come back, and I would spend like hours in the morning doing all these practices before my son would get up. That was it. I'd get up at 5, yoga, meditation, journaling, all of that, and I would feel good. I would feel good. But if I didn't do it, you see, that's when I felt like I couldn't go and see people because I wasn't myself. I wasn't being my highest version, which is another deception. It was always about trying to fix myself, always kind of about, fixing.
And in the end, when we are doing those things, I can recognize myself in so many examples, and the story you are sharing is like, because we are not being ourselves, that it is impossible to have an intimate, proper, authentic relationship with another person, whether it's family, friends, partner, anyone, community. So it is just this facade that we think that we are happy and we need to maintain it. Like maintaining that facade takes so much energy.
It does.
And so what happened then when you started to be confronted with this pride? Because I also want to mention once again is that neither Kathi nor I don't think that we would ever say to ourselves that I am being proud.
No.
Oh, I'm proud. Well, this is pride. It is often, it is labeled as strength or self-confidence. Self-confidence, of course, can be very healthy, but in this, when it goes to the unhealthy thing where we isolate and we have this false illusion of thinking that we can do everything by ourselves and we carry ourselves and we are the source of our power, then it's very unhealthy. So it is often labeled and sold with a lot of money in the industry as self-confidence. And in this case, it was getting very unhealthy. And that is when it's this spirit of pride.
Yeah.
So what happened, Kathi, that you started to realize this pride, and how was the process of you like letting this pride crumble down and become more open, vulnerable, soft, tender, and above all, feeling safe doing so? Because I often think, like in hindsight about my journey as well, is that when we closed our heart, we isolated ourselves, and we had these disappointments, like someone had rejected you and someone had rejected me, then we didn't want to ask for help, because if they reject us, we were actually often, we were surrounded, not necessarily by people, maybe often, but we were surrounded by spiritual entities with these practices that we could not trust, that were not, that did not have good intentions for us. So I'm just wondering, maybe we just somewhere inside, we felt it, and then we closed our heart. But then now I see, look at that, and I still wouldn't want to open my heart in that environment. So I still would like to isolate myself in that environment if I'm surrounded by demonic spirits without even knowing it. But now when we are with Jesus, Jesus, our Lord and Savior, we are safe to open and become vulnerable. So tell us a little bit. I believe many women, especially, and single mothers may be able to relate to that. So tell me us about this process a little bit, how you realized that what had been happening, and how you were able to humble yourself, or was it Jesus doing that work, the Holy Spirit doing that work?
Yeah, I just, things weren't working in my life. Like, things were getting difficult, and I felt very isolated, and I didn't like who I was anymore. I couldn't. It was almost like I kind of missed who I was before I got into the New Age, because I was a very sort of soft, gentle person. I think more. I've always had a strength. I've always had an inner strength in the way that I bounce back, from things and keep my positive. I've always had that anyway. That natural positive. I've always been an optimist. But I think I had a lot of fear deep down, really, about being on my own, and it's all on me to provide and be, because then when you're a single parent, you have to be the man and the woman. So it's like I had to become the tough, person. I mean, obviously my son has a father and he still sees him and everything. However, but when you're on your own, in your own home, raising, doing everything, you have to be both. You have to be the mother and the father. And I don't know, it's just dawned on me that actually we're not meant to be both. We are meant to be in union. I used to think it was great being a single mum. I was like, oh, it's inspiring. I want to be, like, inspire others. It's okay. You can be on your own and do it. But the pride, I just noticed, it wasn't, just things weren't working.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right. I couldn't connect with people. I had no intimacy with people. I was struggling. I was getting into, after I had a period on my own as a single parent, I did, when it was right, quite a while down the line, I started dating, but then I found myself getting into toxic relationships. Nothing bad like abuse or anything like that, but just toxic, sort of very chaotic, and then I'd end it, or it would just end or something. Then I'd have a break, and it was just all these sort of ups and downs, the roller coaster of the New Age. And I thought, well, if you're meant to be, if the New Age, this spiritual journey is supposed to be good for you, then surely we would be having more blessings, like relationship-wise. But I was still getting involved, I was sort of attracting people who were kind of depending on me. I was the strong one all the time. It was weird. I was constantly, people were depending on me. The person I was with would be looking up to me and depending on my strength. But I was always prideful, and I'd never ask for help from them, and stuff like that. So I just noticed I felt like I was becoming hard. That's it. Like, my heart was harder. I was more walls were up. I was more rigid in my thinking. I wouldn't let people in. It was safer to keep them at arm's length, so I could stay, with that facade of who I am. But obviously deep inside, I was craving that intimacy and that connection, and being vulnerable was the way to have that. But I still didn't feel safe to be vulnerable. So years and years of just witnessing myself and thinking something's not right. It would just be nice to admit that, sometimes it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be, to need help. It's okay to be who I am as a woman, soft and gentle and stuff.
So you started to feel that it didn't feel
Yeah,
natural. It didn't feel natural to you.
no, not anymore. And I started questioning it. I was like, it's because of watching my mum being the strong, independent one. And it didn't feel, I started to feel like, I would, because I was always against sort of marriage and stuff when I was younger. I was never that girl that wanted marriage and kids, I was always like, no, never, not for me. But that's because of watching my mum have her separations. Anyway, so there's a lot of pride. With admitting that, with actually admitting, now that's what I want. So when Jesus came to me 5 months ago and pulled me out of the New Age, that's when it was happening. Like I was had to really humble myself, and I didn't like what I was seeing in myself. I really didn't. I was so spiritual ego. That was it. Like what you said, almost like, very loud with it and self-important a little bit too. I didn't like that. There was this self-important, like it's sort of all about me. I need time for myself. I need self-care, self-love, and I can't do anything until I've done that. I've done my yoga, I've done my meditation. And I was never available for people.
Yeah, and we were always preparing ourselves for something.
Yeah.
And through that, never available for people, as you say.
Yeah. And now it's different. Like it's not about me anymore. It actually makes me really upset to think that when I look back and think what was happening about it, it just, basically the demonic forces that got in just wanted me on my own, isolated.
So they could then attack your thoughts and mind and everything.
Yeah, about about the world's against you. You're better off on your own. Don't let anyone in. Don't let them know how you feel. Avoid that person. Avoid that person. And I thought, and that's when, and like.
And then Jesus came.
Yeah.
And
Jesus came.
And how did you find the process? Because I was at the beginning, I didn't, as you said about yourself, I didn't like what I was seeing in myself when I realized how prideful, self-righteous, self-important, and even angry I was. I didn't like it, but there was then this rebellion in me that did not want to humble myself and did not want to, and so I wanted to do it, but there was a strong resistance in me. But then it was, as a process, then little by little, over the months, it started to happen. And then when I started to feel so much better, and I started to absolutely feel the power in humility, vis-a-vis God, Jesus, and the right God, the right Jesus. That's the most important. So how was it for you?
Okay. I'm just trying to, I suppose it happened bit by bit as well. There was a leading up to him coming to me, because I didn't know that was Jesus. Like when I first felt the pull to come away from some new age things without knowing why. And then the night he came to me and I had the vision, when I was in my bedroom and just literally put my hands down. And like when I saw the flash of him in my mind's eye, it was like, And that's when I started crying, and just my heart was softening, and I was just so in love for what I just experienced with him. And that's when I came off social media. Like I came off social media before then, because I was feeling that I need to just, I almost felt embarrassed. I almost felt like cringy about things I've done, like the way I've showed up online, the way self-righteous with my friends or family, you know, making it all about me.
Yeah, it's like you were being born again, and the old self, old
Yeah,
you, were dying,
yeah,
and it, yeah, that is how it sounds to me. Like you didn't identify
mm.
with that person anymore, and it started to, of
It wasn't
course,
possible.
it's not an overnight thing, but a process that happens. And
But now, but like, yeah, the place I'm in, the humbling, like you said, there's power in humility. It's such a beautiful space, because I've put my focus, like I became a carer, like Jesus stripped me of everything, like everything. Like I was a coach, and it was a bit of an identity, you know, self-importance again. You know, you tell yourself it's not ego or anything, but it was all like, well, I'm a coach and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then it was like, it just stripped me of everything. And it was just like, go in the community, be hands-on as a carer. And that has brought me so much joy, because it's just been about serving, and it's just about, it's just a beautiful, rewarding, joyful place to be with the elderly and helping them. And I'm just so busy all the time. It's like he's made me really busy, so I can't stop and think about myself or become self-obsessed or dwell in my problems. You know, it's like I haven't got time. Like in the new age, it was all like I had all this time for myself, and too much time, and it was dangerous. You know, overthinking and stuff. And then obviously the devil gets in your head and la la la. But now I'm like, yeah, it's all about, my heart is softened. I don't want to be like I was at all. I actually admit that I just want to be the woman that God made me, always meant to be. You know, I want to be married. I want to be, I can admit this now. I never used to admit this. I want to be married. I want to be a wife. I want to be a homemaker. I want to focus on my son and family, because he's put it on my heart that motherhood is my ministry. So that's where I'm at. I used to think, no, but I need to be doing this, and I need to be more important. Like, I need to be a coach. I mean, there's nothing, you know, like you can still do those things, and, you know, but for me, I always thought that motherhood wasn't enough, that being married wasn't enough. But I can see ministry in that, and I can see the importance of what in
that's
that.
so beautiful. I'm getting chills when you are sharing that. And
Being a homemaker.
yeah.
And it's not, you know, not just about my son, it's also his friends when they come over, and being a nurturer, being a carer. So it's all about, like, I just love nurturing and nourishing people, and just serving in that way as a woman with our natural woman gifts, you know, instead of trying to be manly and like
and this, what you also referred to, was that this is natural to you. This is how God created you to be. Whereas then in this personal development, new age, we are trying to create according to our own mind. We are trying to create ourselves in a way that we think that we will be happy, and others say to us how we will be happy. And then we take role models who are doing that thing, but we have never asked them, are you really happy? We just assume that they are happy. So it's all, and now you can relax in being who you are and who you were created to be. And how about, are you feeling now about your self-confidence and strength in this new place where you are?
Well, I have Jesus. So even when I'm feeling weak, I can show up because I know he's going to fill in those parts and strengthen them. I give it all to him. I'm like, right, I'm feeling a bit, this today. And I know it's because I've not been in the word enough. I've not prayed enough, or I've been tired or whatever. So yeah, he feels that. Like, doesn't he? Like, hand everything to him. I just put it at his feet. I'm like, these are my wants and desires. Please take them from me. I surrender myself to you. I want your way. I follow your way. I want to be more of you. Help me decrease in me and be more of you. And I'm more consistent since leaving the new age. I'm more consistent. I'm more like thinking about others, not myself. It was always like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that before I can do anything for anyone else. That whole thing. But now it's, no, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up. I'm going to just trust that he'll have my back. He's there.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit will come through me. I trust in that. I do trust in that. But like, yeah, I do have more of a softness, and it's okay. I don't have anything to prove anymore. It was all about proving. I
Oh, yes.
know I'm strong. Well, with Jesus, obviously, with God, but I don't need to prove it. I don't need to be like shout from the rooftops, I'm equal to a man, or I'm, I don't mind admitting that I need a masculine in my life because I want that union. I want, just want that family. It's the most important thing now is family to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see that before. I didn't see it. I was on a wild goose chase to, become a coach and become a high, whatever at the time. But I'm just content where I am while I'm journeying to grow my new business I've started and my ministry at home.
And it is not a coincidence that personal development and many parts of society, they lead us astray from family, because family unit is a very powerful unit created by God.
Yes.
And that's why we also feel inclined towards that naturally. And one, before we wrap up this beautiful conversation, I wanted to share something, and I would like to invite you to share some, if you would like to share some final thoughts, especially for single moms or other women.
Yeah.
And they can also connect with you if they want to connect with you and your ministry. All the links are below. But one thought it came to me already at the beginning when you were sharing about becoming a single parent and kind of deciding you just want to be alone and you don't need any man and you don't want to be rely on any man. And now when we look at the world and ourselves through Jesus, so this is how I see it, that so Jesus is our rock. It is Jesus who is our rock. And Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. And I believe that Jesus is the way also to a healthy, happy marriage.
Absolutely.
Because I see that Jesus is the enabler of that connection with a godly man. And if we were rejecting a man, then we were also kind of rejecting Jesus. But now, thanks to Jesus and everything that he is providing for us, we can surrender to a man also. This is how I have come to see this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is your...
That is beautiful. Yeah. And that sort of just brought up a thought that I was thinking the other day, because I've had an unhealthy relationship, mindset about men. My own father, obviously won't get into that, but I don't have anything to do with him. So I've always had maybe a bit of an unhealthy mindset about men, and that whole relying on them, needing them, submitting to them, and all that sort of thing. But through the Father, because I've never really had a father, but through God, the Father, I'm just like, I'm so loved, and it's beautiful. It's like he's there, even when he's telling me and convicting me and being like, come on. It's like little things like off your phone, read the Bible, because you need boundaries and you need to do that. Like lately it's been go to bed early, get off your phone by 10 at night, you can get into bed with the Bible. And I felt it's like a loving father.
Mm,
And I need, if I had that, it's like you think, oh, if I had that growing up, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
yes.
But that's what I mean. It's all about whether we have a healthy relationship with our own father or relationships with men and how we perceive God. And that's why a lot of people are very resistant to God, and they think he's condemning when he's not. He's a loving father. And Jesus is loving. I mean, obviously, as a parent, like I am with my son, we tell them, we guide them, and we say that, oh, be careful, you're going to hurt yourself, because we can see ahead. They can't, children can't see what we can see as a parent. So it's the same thing. God's just warning us.
Yeah.
So when he's saying you shouldn't do that, that is a sin, or it's not because he's trying to ruin our fun. He's trying to warn us that if we get into that, we will destruct. We will become in self-destruction. So, but yeah, the devil's all about destroying the family unit.
Mm.
He destroyed my family unit with my family, with my, my mother and siblings. He's come between. We were such a good, strong family, but when I was in the new age, he destroyed that. Came in, and that was so. And I can see what happened now. Like he just wanted me away, isolated. So yeah, the devil is coming for the family unit. So
Yeah. And healing our relationship with Father is a big part of this.
yeah,
Maybe we will talk about that separately, because that was a huge thing for me, and I think this is a very important thing for many women.
it
So
is.
maybe
Yeah,
we talk about that separately.
yeah.
So we are now about to wrap up for today. I am feeling that you might have a final message for women watching this.
Mm. Yes. So if you're a single mother or a single woman, our strength comes from God. I just invite you to just open up and pray. Pray for the truth. Pray for support. If you're in a desperate situation, just pray. What harm can that do for you? If you're not a believer at the moment, just pray, because he shows up. It might not always be in the way that you expect, but he always provides. Every desperate situation I've been in, he has showed up. He has provided and supported me, and he strengthens me. And I am filled with so much peace and strength and joy now. Now I've found Jesus, because that's what we've been searching for.